Hello my beautiful book besties, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Liv and today we're going to talk about the books I hope to read this month. Before I jump straight into the books, I do just want to say to you guys, thank you so much. This is the absolute best community. In case you didn't see my post on my community tab, I went through the experience of Hurricane Helene. This has really been a huge learning experience for me, and all of the things that I've seen, all the things I've heard. Even though this has been a very scary experience for me, it's also been very eye-opening, and if you guys are not aware of what's been going on at all, I definitely recommend looking it up. I don't think I ever expected to be impacted this deeply because something has hit this hard home for me, and so I am trying to get back to normalcy by filming this video and talking about books. But before I dive into the books, I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys, the Bookstagram community, the BookTube community, you guys here. I've had friends, I've had family that have sent me money and reached out and like prayed with me and prayed for me, and it's just been a whole crazy chaotic experience, and today has felt like the first normal day in a while. So I just wanted to say I am so thankful for this outlet. I'm so thankful for you guys as subscribers. That's all I wanted to say real quick, but we are now gonna go ahead and get into the fall spooky reads, and I am so excited about this TBR. I'm sorry this is a little bit late, but obviously I've had bigger things to worry about. I have two really big, really fun things happening this month, and one of them is a secret collab that I have been planning for quite some time. You guys should see that video in about 2 weeks from today, and if you're part of my Patreon, you actually get a sneak peek of what it is. It's something you guys are gonna want to get your bank accounts ready for, because when it drops, I'm telling you, it's gonna be so fun. It is beautiful. It is so me. I'm not gonna spoil anything else because this has been in the works for quite some time and I just want it to be a fun surprise. But another little fun thing that I have planned is I'm gonna host a short little 24-hour readathon October 25th, which is a Friday, through 26th over on Patreon. We are just gonna have a little Halloween themed readathon, which I'm super excited for. There's not going to be any big prompts, but I'm probably going to be sprinting, doing some live reading sprints both of those days. So if that's anything you're interested in, let me know. I'm definitely going to be vlogging the experience. So I thought I would go ahead and share with you the two books for sure that I have planned for that weekend. I was on the hunt for the perfect Halloween quick thriller to read, and I've never read anything by this author before, so I'm a little bit scared, but that is All Hallows by Christopher Golden. This book takes place in 1984. It's Halloween night in Coventry, Massachusetts, and two families are unraveling. Up and down the street, secrets are being revealed, and all the while, mixed in with the trick-or-treaters of all ages, four children who do not belong are walking door to door. There's also this blackthorn tree in the woods that doesn't belong there. People have never seen it before. There's someone called the Cunning Man that is out for these children, and it just sounds really spooky and really crazy and just a really quick fun time. We have multiple points of view, which I also love. I think this is just gonna be the perfect spooky scary Halloween thriller I need for Halloween weekend. Now you guys know I'm not a full-on horror person. I typically like cozy fall reads or feel-good books, and I do like some dark spooky fantasy, but I am hoping to try Slewfoot by Brom. This author scares me to death, but I have had several close friends give this 5 stars. They've told me the storytelling and the writing specifically is just absolutely phenomenal. Set in colonial New England, Slewfoot is a tale of magic and mystery. I'm already getting the Village vibes if you guys have seen that movie. I don't even know where this book is gonna go. I don't know if it's gonna cross the boundaries of fantasy or just magical realism, but there's definitely some crazy creepy drawings in here. I was just trying to find one of the scariest books I could for Halloween weekend, and hopefully this one lives up to that. Also, in case you don't know, another Patreon plug here is I have a monthly book club where you guys get to choose out of 3 or 4 choices what book you want to read for that month. And for this month of October, you guys chose The 13th Child. I could literally scream from the rooftops how excited I am, not only to have this book in my hands, but to discuss it with you guys and with friends, and I just get that 5-star feeling from this book. It's funny because I actually have only read the synopsis of this once, or maybe maybe even not at all. Hazel has always known she wasn't like her siblings. A 13th child promised to one of the gods, she spends her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death, to arrive and take her away. When he does, he lays out exactly what he's planned for Hazel's future. She will become a great and celebrated healer. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient and is tasked with ending their suffering permanently. She's haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed. I feel like this is going to be the most horror-ish that Erin A. Craig has ever taken her books, and I'm so here for that. And it looks like she might fall in love with some type of prince that she meets. I've heard that this book is a lot more fairy tale-ish than people were expecting, but I do know that this is based off a Grimm fairy tale. I'm not sure which one. I'm just so excited about this book, so if you want to hang out and chat about this book with me, definitely feel free to check out my Patreon, because this is probably going to be one of my top favorites of the year. One of the other book clubs I'm hoping to participate in is my friend Kendall. She has the Broodlayer book club. Her whole Patreon is these adorable dragons, and for the month of October she's going to be reading the last one, At the Wedding. I feel like a lot of us are very excited about this one. We've been waiting for another Jason book for a while. I could not tell you what this book is about. I'm just very excited because Hidden Pictures was one of my favorites of the year when I read it, and I think it's been a good 4 years since we've gotten a book from him. So this one is definitely on my radar. I think it takes place on the coast. Don't know anything other than that, but I'm just so excited about it. Now we're gonna get into my very big variety of other books I hope to read in October. I have already started on some of my October reads because by the time you're seeing this, it's already gonna be a little bit into October, but regardless, I have a lot of fun books that I still want to get to, one of them being The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This book I've talked about so many times on my channel. It has been on my TBR since last year. I keep saying I'm gonna read it no matter what time of year because I know it's gonna be a 5-star read. It's cozy fantasy, it's found family, it's witches, and if I don't get to it this month, I feel like I'm not going to, because November you kind of get into those Christmas holiday reads, so I feel like October has to be the month for this one. I'm crossing my fingers you guys are right that I will rate this 5 stars. The next book that I'm actually currently in the middle of and really enjoying is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. This has been on my most anticipated releases of the year list, like probably top 3. This is about our main character named Lennon Carter, who gets swept off to like this secret society school that's basically for people with some type of ability to manipulate other people, kind of like their minds. This book is a lot more academic than I thought it was gonna be, but there's definitely dark things, there's gothic vibes. It's very much an adult book. There's lots of adult themes and trigger warnings, so definitely check that out before you pick this book up. But so far it's living up to what I thought it was going to be. Her writing is phenomenal. I haven't read any of her other previous books and I can already tell she's going to be an autobi author for me. There are lots of unsettling things happening in this book. It feels like magical realism but fantasy at the same time. It's so hard to put this book in a specific box because I feel like it just crosses so many boundaries of different genres. So if that sounds interesting to you, I definitely recommend picking this up. Next is a very dark fantasy romance that I keep seeing literally everywhere, and I got so curious to the point where I went out and bought the book one day. That is Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. I know for me, I don't typically love a lot of spice, so we'll see what happens with this. But beside that, I know this book is full of demons and scary things, and that's pretty much all I know. I'm gonna read some of the back because honestly, I don't even remember. Phantasma only has 2 rules: stay alive and do not fall in love. When Ophelia discovers her mother brutally murdered, there's no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstances go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma, a competition where contests rarely escape alive, and the victor is granted a single wish. I believe her wish is to bring her mother back alive again, and this book is giving Caraval, but take it up another notch with demons and angels and scary things, and I'm really scared this is gonna get very dark, but I'm also just so curious about it, and if I'm gonna read this, I at any point in the year, I feel like it has to be October. Another book that I feel like is very similar to Phantasma, not only in the cover design, but even the synopsis sounds very similar. It also looked like Erin A. Craig blurbed this, and she said I was consumed by this book. It was very nightmarish, so I'm very intrigued. Mary Darling's life as daughter of the Manor Lord of Sussex is better than most. Unlike the commoners, she is immune to the toxic fog that encroached on England generations earlier. She will never become a phantom, one of the monstrous creatures that stalk her province's borders. Apparently there ends up being a string of monstrous attacks and terrifying creatures and unpredictable things that happen in this book, but I feel like it's almost a Regency novel mixed with scary creatures. I feel like gothic fantasy has definitely been my theme or my vibe that I've been going for this year, and I feel like this one is definitely going to fit that mold. And speaking of gothic fantasy, I have Stalking Jack the Ripper. This series has been around for quite some time. I do know the second one is Finding Prince Dracula or something of that sort. I feel like this second one especially would be great for October, so I would love to get through this one and the second one if possible. I believe we follow our main character who's a doctor who ends up going after the Jack the Ripper serial killer. I know it's some type of romance, and I just feel like this book is going to be a very interesting mix or dynamic, especially when it comes to the romance. I truly do not know what to expect, but this series I've seen around constantly since the beginning of my booktube journey, and I feel like it could be the potential to be like a new favorite series of all time, so I'm really hoping to put this one on my priority list. Once again, this next book fits the mold of a dark gothic fantasy kind of horror book, and that is Diavola by Jennifer Thorne. I'm super scared about this book, but I've heard it has an interesting take on the typical haunted house genre. I also think there are a lot of interesting family dynamics and maybe even some type of commentary, but I just know this family goes on vacation to Italy, and there's a woman in the house that they're staying that they encounter, and some dark things start happening. I'm pretty much going into this one blind, and I wanted to keep it that way. I'm just so intrigued by the cover. This cover is terrifying. I've already read the first chapter and I'm loving the writing and how easy it is to get through. So this book is going to be one of the very few actual horror books that I try this month, but I am very excited about it. I also have been in a big mood for a thriller lately, especially with the current situation and the things and the chaos that happened this past week. I just need something that's really going to suck me in, that's going to be fast paced but super fun and also good for October obviously. So I decided to pick the Mary Shelley Club. This is a older book, but I feel like one that everyone is always talking about. I just know it's about some students who join this club and maybe they have to do some spooky scary things. I don't know. I love Mary Shelley. This just sounds really spooky. There's some type of game happening and I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how dark this is gonna be, but I'm just excited to read like another quick thriller. There's barely any text on these pages and I think it's just gonna be a really fun time. I currently have 2 books coming in the mail that I'm very excited to get to. I just heard about these recently, but they have taken really top priority on my list for this month because they sound so good. The first one is The Hitchcock Hotel by Stephanie Wrobel. Apparently there's this guy who is obsessed with Hitchcock films, so he has this whole hotel where he lets people stay, he does screening of the movies, but apparently the people end up in their own real life horror movie. I don't know what to expect from this other than the fact that that sounds absolutely terrifying. I've also heard this book is just a really fun time, so I don't know if we get any type of humor. I just don't know what to expect from this author. I've never read anything by her before, but the title alone just sucked me right in and I'm so stoked for this one. I've been on the hunt for another book that is kind of like Grady Hendrix. I wish he would come out with books around the fall season, and I just want something that's quirky and fun but also kind of spooky at the same time. And my friend Rachel brought up this book one day that she found in the store called A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. Sometimes it takes working with the dead to start living. Kathy Valance is 42, mid-divorce, and pregnant with her ex's baby. She's also a modern-day Grim Reaper, but frankly that's the easiest part of her life right now, or at least it was until her latest client client's soul goes missing. When she finally tracks down 17-year-old Connor, he angrily denies he died of natural causes despite what his file says. He insists that someone murdered him, and he demands Kathy find out who and why. Kathy has only 45 days to figure out what happened to Connor and help him move on before the boy's soul is doomed to roam the earth as a ghost forever. This book sounds like it's gonna have some fun but dark humor. I feel like this book is just gonna be a good lighthearted book to give me a good palate cleanser with all the darker books I have picked out. And last but not least, I have two graphic novels I would love to get to as well. Graphic novels really are a true palate cleanser, or if you're in a reading slump or you're reading a really big book, sometimes it's fun to read one of these alongside it. The first one I have is Snapdragon, which is a cute little middle grade book, but I feel like it's also gonna have some really creepy elements. Snapstown has a witch, at least that's the rumor. In reality, Jax is just a Crocs wearing internet savvy old lady who sells the skeletons of roadkill online. It's creepy for sure, but Snap thinks it's kind of cool too. Snap needs a favor from this old woman though, so she begins helping Jax with her strange work. Snap gets to know her and realizes that Jax may in fact have real magic. The fact that this lady sells roadkill skeletons is really funny, but also really freaking weird. So I'm just excited to see where this story goes. I have no idea what it's gonna be like. I love the artwork. It's definitely your typical comic style, but I think it's just gonna be really fun. I'm very curious to know why our main character has antlers. So I'm just excited to see what all this book has to hold. It has been on my TBR for absolute ages, but I've heard a lot of great things. And last, but definitely not least, another graphic novel I've had for ages is The Ghoul Next Door. This one is about a little boy who feels like he's being haunted by a ghost. Apparently, there are all sorts of different bits and pieces taken from a graveyard that he keeps seeing around everywhere. But I know he ends up being involved in some type of town mystery, and there's like this whole other world of ghouls and ghosts. And honestly, the artwork is super freaking creepy, but like I love it at the same time. So these two are definitely going to be the graphic novels that I reach for this month if I need some type of break or I just want some type of spooky visual to enjoy. Well, thank you guys so incredibly much for watching this video. If you have watched the entire video, you've made it to this point, I would say you could leave me a little ghost emoji because we definitely have some spooky reads picked out this month. If you have any of these books picked out for your TBR yourself or you've read them already, definitely let me know. But thank you so incredibly much for watching this video, supporting my channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are. I love you so much, and I will see you in my next fall video.